Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Paul Lisnig, and this is Comcast Newsmakers. This hour's newsmaker is David Hinderliter. He's the president and CEO for the Kankakee Regional Chamber. Today, we're going to be talking about the state of the chamber, but actually the state of many chambers. Dave, it's good to see you.
That's right, Paul. Nice to be back. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I want to start with what I think is maybe a source of confusion out there for people, because you live in an area where you've got Kankakee and Bradley, Bourbonnais, various areas, and there's discussion of combining the chambers of commerce out there. At the same time, some people actually think it happened. So let's start off, clear it up. What's the situation?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I've been at the chamber, Paul, for 19 years. This conversation was going on before I got there. And it's a good conversation. We're looking at ways that we can build efficiencies into a business model for championing the business community. You know, every community you go to around the nation, around the world, could have a chamber of commerce. But one of my favorite sayings is that if you've seen one chamber, you've seen one chamber. Because, you know, they're just different everywhere you go. They serve a slightly different purpose. In certain communities, they could be an extension of the village hall. In other communities, they are more a microcosm of the business environment.
So what you're saying is when you talk about combining chambers, you actually have to start by looking at the missions of various chambers, because those might very well differ.
Exactly, Paul. And I think generally they might have some similarities, but in our case, ours is really a three-pronged mission, and advocacy is the first prong in our mission. We're advocates on behalf of our business clients with all forms of government.
By the way, is it fair to assume that a lot of chambers actually say, we don't want to do advocacy, it's not what we do?
There are certainly a component of chambers that do not want to be involved in advocacy. Most of the time, those would be more associated with a village or municipality, because that is their advocate. On the other hand, those that are more neutral in that positioning say, you know, we have to be the voice of business with elected officials on behalf of those private businesses that really that's not what they're going to do. To make money, they need to be selling their product, building their product, developing new things. Advocacy is a full-time job, really, and as one of our famous fathers from Kankakee had told me long ago, he says, advocacy is a full contact sport. So you really have to be engaged. Some groups just don't want to do that. We prefer to do that.
So let me ask you in a general sense. Let's talk about the advantages, disadvantages. Rattle off, if you would, some of the advantages of that. You support the merger.
I think that a merger can be a very good thing if we're all on the same page.
Tell me, and tell me why. So if I'm sitting here saying, tell me why we should do this, Dave, why should we do it?
Well, number one, it takes confusion out of people's minds. In a community like ours, Kankakee County is only 110,000 people on Saturday night when everybody's home. Okay, that's not that large in the overall picture. It makes it easier for people from the outside to find resources. You know,
and I imagine sharing resources as well. Staffing issues have to come into play.
Staffing, locations, technology, because it's expensive to manage an operation.
On the flip side, if people say, I don't think we should merge, what's their strong reason?
Because there are such strong divergent thought processes in the community. And that's not about us as much as it's in their own minds. You know, people are very certain about special things, and they can't see that everything could come together in a way that helps everyone. And that would be our goal.
So it's a discussion that's been going on over the longer than the 19 years you've been there. So are we going to hear about it for another 19 years? Are things coming to a head? Where does it stand?
Well, you know, there's a move afoot to say from certain business leaders that we just have to have one. Interestingly enough, all those business leaders are in competitive businesses that if there were just one of their types of industries, they wouldn't really be happy. So I think it comes down to having good conversation, sitting around the table, dialogue, see where we can come together, see where we diverge, and then we'll come up with some good solutions.
So the answer is, hasn't happened yet, but the dialogue continues, and please keep us informed.
Sure will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This hour's newsmaker has been David Hinderliter for the Kankakee Regional Chamber. I'm Paul Lisnick. Thanks for watching us here. This is Comcast Newsmakers. Bye-bye.